On today's episode of Cooking Crave, we're going to bring you some new breakfast recipes, and that's all coming up next on Cooking Crave. Hi, I'm Rhonda Fitterer.
And I'm Laverne.
And welcome to today's Cooking Crave. Today we are featuring a couple recipes. We got a caramel French toast that was submitted by a Dickinson resident, Nancy Wall, and also a donut muffin recipe.
Yes,
so let's get started.
Okay.
That sounds awesome. I can't wait.
Okay. We're going to start with the caramel French toast first.
Okay.
And we have a 9x13 pan, and I did spray it lightly already, so you want to spray it a little bit before you start. We start with a loaf of French bread, and you can either tear it into pieces or just cut it. However, we're going to just put that in here. And just spread that apart there and even it out.
Okay.
One thing with this here recipe, of course we're making it tonight and we're going to bake it right away. But you can also make it the night before and leave it set in the fridge, and then you can just pop it in the oven in the morning. So that makes it nice. We're going to drizzle a half a cup of butter on it.
Is it better if you do keep it in the refrigerator overnight? Is it taste different or just sets up a little bit better probably?
Well, I think your everything will just soak into the bread a little bit more, and I think it's probably a little bit better doing it the night before.
Okay.
But it certainly works, you know, like what we're going to do here too, in case, you know, you decided at the last minute this is what you're going to make for breakfast.
Sure.
You know, you certainly can do that. So we have that, half a cup of butter there, melted butter. And then we have 8 eggs, and we need 2 cups milk, and we need 2/3 cup brown sugar.
This makes actually a pretty big batch, doesn't it?
It does. Okay, I think I need something to get my brown sugar out here. Did that the night before. Okay, and now I need a teaspoon of cinnamon.
Okay.
And 1 teaspoon vanilla. And then we're just gonna I'm just gonna use my hand mixer for this and just blend that really well. And then we just pour that over the bread.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll just be a little noisy here for a minute. And you just want it till the eggs are beaten, you know, thoroughly. Okay, and I also need to put in a half a cup of heavy cream.
Okay.
So I have that here.
I could see where this would go over really well when you're having entertaining guests for, you know, that come in from out of town. Just a special treat.
It is, and I think, you know, everybody has that little sweet tooth to that, and this is a little bit different than, you know, your usual breakfast bakes.
Yes.
So.
And it's not quite like a caramel roll type. It's.
Yeah, not quite as sweet as that. So I think I have everything in here, so we're just going to pour that over the bread. And it's nice when you mix it, pour it right away after it's mixed, just because the cinnamon will settle if you don't, you know, pour it right away.
Right, it'll evenly distribute it over the bread there.
Yes. Okay, I'm going to just kind of work that in there a little bit, make sure everything gets moistened with the milk and egg mixture. And this takes 45 minutes to bake.
Okay.
And while that's baking, there's a delicious caramel sauce that goes on top of this.
All right.
So I think, you know, something like this, and serving it with maybe fresh fruit and you know, ham, bacon, whatever your preference might be, you could have a nice, you know, filling breakfast.
Certainly.
Okay, so we're going to just pop that in the oven.
And is it a preheat, like 350 degrees, or what temperature do we bake that?
I preheated it at 350 for 45 minutes. So we're going to put that in there. And I'll set that timer right away for 45 minutes. There we go. And then we're going to, let's make our caramel sauce right away.
Okay.
What we do, I'm going to just take a glass pitcher here, and then this way I'm going to have it, then you can pour it over the French toast. You don't have to make another bowl dirty. So it starts with, you want a cup of butter. So that'll be your 2 sticks.
Do you usually use salted butter, or does it matter when you're making something, you know, like this, that it's salted or unsalted?
You know, I guess I've always used salted butter. They definitely have the unsalted, and there's some recipes that do call for unsalted butter. In fact, the next recipe, the Doughnut Muffins, asks for unsalted butter.
Okay.
But, you know, when we get to that, I'll explain. I'm actually going to use salted butter, but it asks for 1 3/4 teaspoon salt. So I'm just going to cut back on the salt. And, and when I've made it before, you wouldn't know the difference. So, okay, so we have a cup of butter, and then a cup of brown sugar, and 1 cup heavy whipping cream.
No calories.
No calories.
That's what makes it good, though.
And this caramel sauce, it does make quite a bit. And if you end up not needing it all for your French toast, you can certainly put it in the fridge and it'll keep.
Okay.
So we're going to just put it in the microwave, and I'm going to put it on about 2 minutes, and then I'll stir it. We don't need to boil it or whatever. We just want to get it warm and melted.
Okay.
And that's so. So I'll just get a spoon out so I can stir that. And then from there we're going to start with our Doughnut Muffins, and we can get that mixed while that is baking. And actually the Doughnut Muffins ask for 350 degrees also.
Okay.
So I can actually put a pan of that in, so you know, we can be multitasking here.
Sounds good.
Okay. We'll take that out and let's just stir it a little bit here. See, it's pretty well melted already.
It doesn't take long to get butter and
melt it. No, and brown sugar, that dissolves quickly, and that. But we just, I think all it's going to take is probably another minute or so.
Okay.
And then that'll be ready. And if it cools off too much before we have our have our French toast and we're going to serve it, we can always just put it back in the microwave just for a moment. Another few minutes, a minute or two.
All right.
So let's just put that in for another minute, and we should be fine with that. So it's really a quick, simple, easy recipe.
Yes.
It doesn't take much to make, and it's delicious. So.
Well, it's something you can put in the oven. You can get a lot of stuff done before you would have to serve it anyway. So,
right,
get up a little bit earlier, put it in the oven, and you're good to go.
That's right. And that's what makes it nice with the breakfast bakes and a recipe like this. It does make it easy or whatever. Especially you have overnight company and you're getting up. You have enough to do without having to try to make a big breakfast, but you're going to have a nice spread right with this. So,
yes.
Okay. I think that's probably going to be about enough here. Maybe it wasn't quite a minute, but I can kind of see it bubbling already. So that looks like it's ready, and it's just a nice caramel color there. And you know what you could actually do if you had very much of that left over, you could actually make some caramel rolls or something like that too, and use that topping.
Oh, certainly.
That'll work well. Okay, we're ready to start with our Doughnut Muffins, and we're going to cream a 1.5 cups of butter together with 1 2/3 cup sugar. So
okay,
let's put the butter in there. And you want the butter at room temperature, or if you haven't been able to do that, I would put it in the microwave just for maybe about 15 seconds, just to, make it soft so that you can cream it better with the sugar. So we'll got that. And now we'll put the 1 3/4 cup sugar in here. And this, we want to cream it for a little bit. So while that's creaming, blending together, we have 6 cups of flour, and we put in a teaspoon of nutmeg, and it's asked for a teaspoon of salt, or it asks for 1 3/4 cup salt, not cups, 1 3/4 teaspoon salt, and that's where I cut it back just to 1 teaspoon because I did use the salted butter.
Okay.
And then it asks for half a teaspoon baking soda, and then it's 2 tablespoons plus 2 teaspoons of baking powder.
Okay.
So we'll add that all in there together, and I'm going to just take my fork and blend that. I'm using a pre-sifted flour, so you don't really need to sift it, but if you didn't have pre-sifted flour, you could sift the flour with your, other ingredients, the soda, the nutmeg, and all of that. So
sure.
The nutmeg is what's going to give it kind of that cake donut flavor taste there. So
now this is a new recipe. I know that we had it just a couple weeks ago. You had tried it. Where did you find this recipe?
Well, actually, your dad found it on the TV.
Okay.
He was watching. He likes to watch cooking shows and different things, and it was a show called "What's the Best Thing You've Ever Eaten?" And this one gal says the best thing she's ever eaten was doughnut muffins.
Okay.
So we printed off the recipe and we tried it, and they're really good. And it makes a pretty good size recipe. And what's really great with this is you don't have to bake them all at once. You can actually keep it in the fridge for up to 3 days.
Okay.
So again, you could actually mix this the night before, bake some in the morning, and just to keep them fresh, you could bake a couple, the rest a couple of days later, or up to 3 days later. So
okay.
that makes it really nice.
It does.
And I did try that, and I tell you, when we baked them the 3 days later, they were just as good as the first day we made them and mixed them. So
couldn't tell the difference.
Nope, couldn't. I'm going to turn this up just a little bit higher here. And I do want to scrape my bowl. We just blend the butter and sugar, and the rest we are going to just, we add the eggs, and after the eggs then we're going to just blend it with a spoon.
Okay.
And the eggs, they say to beat in 1 at a time, just till they're blended. You're not beating them any length of time, just till they're thoroughly mixed in there. So that looks like that's pretty well creamed, so we're going to add, like I said, 1 egg at a time. And being it's nice to crack your eggs before, and being we're only adding them 1 at a time, it works just perfect.
It does. Always nice to crack in a bowl in case you get a shell in there, or by chance you get a bad egg too.
That's right. And I'm going to just bring the sides down here a little bit to get that well mixed. There. Okay, and our last egg here. And that's getting, pretty thin, so it makes it easy to start with our flour mixture. We're going to alternate our flour mixture and our milk mixture here, so
okay.
We'll get that.
And what would be the reason that you just don't, combine a little bit at a time just in your mixing bowl with the mixer?
Okay. I think it makes the batter a little bit lighter and fluffier.
Oh, okay.
In that, so it does help. Okay, so we'll take that off there. And then we work with 1 2/3 cup milk and 1/4 cup buttermilk. And I'm just going to add the buttermilk into the regular milk.
Okay.
Let's scrape this off here a little bit.
Any recipes that starts with sugar and butter has got to be good.
Yeah. Those are all the good things that, got to have some good things in life, don't we?
Well, yes.
Okay, so I'm going to add that 1/4 cup buttermilk into my milk. And it says to alternate, start with about 1/4 of this, mix it with your spoon, and then you add a little bit of your milk, and you're just going to be alternating it like that. So we're going to just add a little bit in there, and you're just going to mix it till it's blended. It doesn't have to be any certain length of time.
Okay.
Okay, now let's pour a little bit of our milk in there.
This does end up making quite a big batch, though, doesn't
Yeah.
it? So how many muffins do you get totally out of a batch?
Well, when I had baked them the last time, I had made 24 muffins the first day, and they were good sized muffins. And then the batter that I had left, I had some mini tins, muffin, and that worked out nice because the muffins weren't so big.
Okay.
And I've just got some different size muffin tins here to show you, so you can make like mini donut muffins versus, you know, the bigger ones. Especially, you know, sometimes kids, they want a whole one, but they're not going to eat that big one. And just to serve that
Sure.
mini muffin is just about right for them.
And you're going to get a hand workout this way, too. You get a little exercise.
Well, help burn up some of the calories we're going to have after this.
And I think the treadmill's the way to go there.
We just might have to use that. Well, we added our last bit of milk. Now we're going to end with our flour here. And it shouldn't take just too much to blend that in. And while I'm blending this in, I'm going to have you spray my muffin tin here.
Okay.
And I had, when I baked, you know, the 24 muffins the first day, I did freeze some just to check to see how well it was with freezing, and it worked well.
Okay.
You know, they tasted great, so, you know, it's going to be a versatile recipe here. We're going to go ahead and we're going to bake just one muffin tin, and I'm going to just put the rest in the fridge. And that looks...
Now, we sprayed this. Now, is it better to spray and put the muffin in because they end up to be so big? Or I like using paper when I make muffins.
And you can do that too, but being it's a donut muffin, they don't crumble like other muffin would do.
Okay.
So just make a spray in your pan and putting them in like that is just works just fine.
Okay.
And I guess the thing is too, when the muffins are done, and we're going to roll them in, dip them in butter and roll them in sugar and cinnamon. So then you'd be taking off your muffin paper and you'd be wasting that anyway.
Okay.
So we're just going to spray that. So you can see it's a fairly stiff dough, and we want to fill our muffin tins, you know, pretty much to the top.
Okay.
So I can have you help me here, and we'll get that done.
Okay, I might have put too much in that one.
And they bake from 30 to 35 minutes.
This is a pretty thick dough.
Yes. Well, it's very much like what you would have donuts, you know, your cake donuts. That's a fairly, you know, thick batter, so. Like I said,
I wouldn't I'm not doing a very good job in being consistent here, so.
Well, I think that looks just fine. I'm going to add just a little bit more in my first couple of them here too.
I just go for mammoth muffins. You just need one.
But you know, how many times we can stop at one? So we're going to put that in the oven here, and like I said, it's going to go in for, they say 30 to 35 minutes. Okay. And last time I made them, I had it in for about 32 minutes. I didn't even do the full 35 minutes. And what I was going to show you is the little, that would be great, you know, to spray it and have your little mini muffins,
certainly,
donut muffins.
You know, like you said, you know, for kids that want a full one, but you know.
And make sure though that if you're going to use the smaller tins, that you don't want to bake it quite as long. If you had something this small, I probably wouldn't go more than maybe 20 minutes and then double check it and see if they're done, and because you don't want to over bake them. And that, so I thought I'd just show you the difference in the size, and it would be kind of fun. These are just mini tart pans and that, and so, okay. So the rest we're going to just put into the fridge, and we'll have some in a day or two.
Well, I'm not going to wait that long.
Oh, okay. Well, you'll just have to take some of what we have made up.
Okay.
All right. I put the muffins in when it was about 20 minutes. So I'm just going to put the timer up to another 10 minutes for the muffins. And let's just check this French caramel toast. Oh, does that look good?
Oh, that bakes up so nice.
Just makes it nice and, you know, with a nice brown crust on it.
Down here or down here?
Well, we'll just set it up here.
Oh, that smells wonderful.
Doesn't it though? And let's bring over our caramel sauce. And that, ideally what I would do is probably let it cool for about 5-10 minutes before you cut into it. And it's just going to be able to, it'll serve better without falling apart. So let's just give it another, we'll give it 5 minutes.
Okay.
And then it'll be about time to take our muffins out, and then we'll show the finished product there too.
Great.
Let's just cut a piece here. And we'll put it out on the plate here. That looks, oh, and the bottom, you know, the sides, look at how nice and brown they get.
Oh.
And that, and I'm just going to pour a little caramel sauce over that, or a lot.
The more the better for me.
Okay, so then, you know, hey, we're going to just make this a really good breakfast brunch. We're going to add some fruit here. There we go. And how about a couple of pieces of bacon?
All right.
And that. So does that not look like you're ready to?
That's a breakfast of a king.
That, I think so.
Or queen or princess or just me.
Okay, the oven is beeping, and let's check our muffins and see how well those turned out here. Oh, they look nice and brown here.
Turned out to be some pretty big muffins.
Yeah, it does. Okay, let's just bring them over here. And I think, well, let's take them out of the pan, because what we're going to do is, just use that. Just take them out so that they cool a little bit, and then we're going to put them in the butter and roll them in cinnamon sugar.
Okay.
And they'll be ready to go. It doesn't take too long before they cool off. You know, just so that you can handle them. They don't have to be cool all the way, just so that you're not going to burn your hands. Okay, I think they feel about ready to be able to be handled there. So I'm going to just dip them in that butter, and you just kind of roll it in the cinnamon and sugar.
All right. Now, you know, you're just dipping it right in there with the butter. Is that that's not really soaking in too much because you're doing it pretty fast?
Right, it's not going to soak in much, and you know, with the bottom and they're crusty, it's just enough so that that cinnamon and sugar will hang on to the muffin. Or I should call them a donut muffin, and they're just not muffins.
Just adding a few more tasty morsels to this last donut.
Yeah.
And this is just awesome. We want to thank Nancy Wall again for submitting this recipe of the caramel French toast. It absolutely smells wonderful. Thank you so much, Nancy, for sharing your recipes with Consolidated. And again, the Doughnut Muffins. To get these recipes, go to Consolidated's website, www.ctctel.com. And thank you so much to the workshop for being our sponsor as well. Thank you so much and have a great day.